Welcome to I'm Drago Stoica, country manager of Brillo, Romania, and I'm your host for today. In Formula One, every decision, whether it's taken in the garage or on the pit wall, relies on data that must be processed, interpreted, and act upon real time. When you are racing at 300 kilometers per hour, the difference between a win and a wipeout comes down to milliseconds and to the engineers, analysts, and systems that deliver clarity in chaos. Today we are speaking with someone that stays at the very heart of that mission. I'm also very excited to invite Sorin Cheran. Sorin is the Chief Information and Analytics Officer at Atlassian Williams Racing, and he is leading the digital transformation and innovation strategy. With a distinguished career spanning high-performance computing, AI, and data architecture, Sorin has held global leadership roles at HPE. And there he has shaped enterprise-wide AI strategy and innovation. At Atlassian Williams Racing, he's transforming how data is being leveraged by the teams in order to gain a competitive edge on and off track. Sorin holds a PhD in artificial intelligence and robotics, alongside degrees in computer science and engineering. So, Sorin, as Chief Information and Analytics Officer at Atlassian Williams Racing, you are leading one of the most high-stakes data environments in the world. How it is?
So first, Dragos, thank you for the invitation. It's great to be here. To say at least, is very, very challenging. I think diving into the job, is not what one would expect, simply because you're coming in with this idea of data is everywhere, but what you miss is that actually data is everywhere. It's from the moment you're designing the car to the moment you put on track. Everything is connected by data. So yes, it's a very data-hungry and driven world, and it is, to say the least, challenging.
Thanks so much. And Sorin, I do know how busy you are, so thank you for making the time. I will dive right in with the questions.
100%. Let's go for it.
From your perspective, what makes Formula One the ultimate data and technology sport?
So there are two things, Dragos. I think the first one is basically the amount of data as you're actually going through the life cycle of building the car, running the car, operating the car. And then it's how quickly you can actually act on this data, how quickly you can learn from the data. I think as I was saying, you are underestimating the amount of data that we are generating, because people only think about the data from the point of view a car is actually going 40 to 70 laps around the track, and then it's just the telemetry. But it's a lot more. Think about this digital thread that connects an idea of a designer that looks at the regulations for 2026, 2027, whatever, 2028, up to whenever, in our case, Alex and Carlos are actually driving the car on the track. At all the steps from design to wind tunnel, design to aerodynamics, to CFD, to wind tunnel, to building the car, operating the car, running the car, understanding whenever you're, for example, you're crashing, what actually happened, and so on. All of that is a digital thread. Now, it's not enough to connect that thread. It's how do you learn from it that is actually critical, because you don't have time. In some of the cases, well, actually, time has different dimensions. If you're on the track, it has milliseconds. If you're planning the next upgrade, it has several weeks, right? But in all of that timeline, how quickly you're reacting and you're learning in order to understand from whatever actual data is telling you. So the problem is the amount of the data and how quickly you can actually react from milliseconds to weeks.
Very interesting. And if I do understand correctly, you are just preparing with the data, you are creating everything in one spot, and then you can prepare it for the next steps.
Up to a certain extent, yes, that's correct.
Thank you. Now, let's move to the next one. How does your team at Atlassian Williams Racing use data science in decision making?
All right, I'll take a step back here simply because we live in a very competitive environment. So I won't tell you how I'm actually using data at Atlassian Williams Racing, but I'll actually tell you how you could actually use it in sport. Simply, I'm hoping that my various colleagues from other different teams are not actually watching this podcast. If they are, then hello guys, and good to be here. But bottom line is, if you're thinking about AI within the sport, there are various, let's say, type of models that you can actually use. Obviously, you can use predictive models and simulations to basically drive strategy decisions. You're at the track, you want to foresee when, for example, the other teams are actually going to pit. You want to foresee which tires, for example, what is the strategy of pitting if given certain weather predictions. You want to foresee, based on the simulations that you're actually doing back home, in our case in Grove, how quickly you're actually supposed to react, what are actually changing in your strategy as you're going into the race. So that is, for example, one piece. The other piece is, and until now we didn't talk about the car. Another example is the telemetry data that actually comes off the car, right? We want to understand exactly why a driver used a certain combination. Why did he brake in that too early or too late? What happens, for example, when we want to foresee if certain parts of the car are actually not well? Because if you're looking at the TV and you're watching the race, certain drivers are asking, how is my floor? Because they're actually seeing a lie. We see the data and we can actually predict if something is actually going to go wrong. So basically, looking at the telemetry and optimizing the performance during the race, or optimizing how quickly you're actually interfacing or reacting to certain faults, is critical, right? And basically, overall, obviously, we are actually, let's say, the third use case would be we are jumping on the agentic AI and LLM use case, right? We are trying to use that across for debriefs. We are trying, in order to make faster decisions, reacting faster to whatever the other drivers are saying, and so on and so forth. So across the floor, you can think about predictive models for strategy. Just some examples. Telemetry, obviously, you're actually running various models. And we are jumping on this agentic and LLM wagon, which, well, the entire industry is actually using.
Very interesting, and I do feel it will bring a lot of value, and it will change a little bit the way sports will move forward.
100%. I think what is critical to understand is that I've been working with the sport for many, many years around machine learning and AI, and I think there were very things we used machine learning and computer vision, and now agentic AI and so on and so forth. And I do believe that the teams that are going to incorporate the new emerging technology faster, including agentic AI, various type of models, data platforms, and so on, is the team that is actually going to be higher up the grid in 2 to 4 years.
Very interesting. So the future will be very, very interesting.
Data and AI driven, all the way.
On this ecosystem at Atlassian Williams Racing, what is the Brilio role?
All right. I think you're actually leading into this question from the previous one, but that's cool. So sometime back, I think it was in March or April, we were actually sitting in my office and we're thinking about the potential to actually work together. And we've decided on certain areas. Let's start with the cloud, because if you actually want to build a data platform that allows you to support all the data coming from all the various environments that you have, trackside, whatever we're actually going, whatever track we're on, factory, private cloud, which we actually have our data centers where we're running simulations, and public cloud, you do need to have a proper hybrid cloud strategy and the proper cloud foundation. So this is the first area that we are working very closely with you guys, with Brilio, in making sure that we are actually setting the right cloud infrastructure and cloud environment on top of which we are then actually building the data platform. So I think cloud for us was a critical first step in order to push this, what we actually normally people call digital transformation. So I think having the right a partner to set up this foundation of the digital transformation / hybrid cloud was critical. So that was the first area. The second one is around data, right? When we actually started building the data platform, we started thinking, how do we bring the data from across the ecosystem, from across the digital thread that I said, into one platform in order, and obviously with the right operations, anything from ETL, normalization, cleaning, and whatever other else. Building this digital thread is where Brilio is helping, because we have various threads that are actually going on in parallel, from data from the factory, from data from the system that are actually powering the factory, from the data that is actually coming directly from the car, from the simulator, and so on. So we are actually using various Scrum teams that are mixed between Atlassian Williams Racing engineers and Brilio engineers, and we have to say that they're actually going on marvelously. So basically, you see, are moving from the digital transformation and basically hybrid cloud into actually building the data platform. So these are the two very big main areas, and right now we're actually extending into AI. In parallel to that, and I want to say it now, is that I think Brilio has become a partner for us in everything that Sorin wants to do next month. Then Brilio actually goes out and helps, kind of a partner, right? Or basically we are looking at various ideas, and then I'm giving you a call, and then suddenly magic happens. So that's good.
We're a trusted partner at the end.
Correct.
So, Sorin, what is, based on these partnerships that we do have with Atlassian Williams Racing, what is your view?
So this is an interesting one. I joined Williams in September last year. So I'm close to a year on the 5th of September. So I think for me, even before we talked about technology partners, for me it was important for us at Atlassian Williams Racing to have the right strategy around technology. Because I've seen a lot of teams and in a lot of sports that are actually starting from the other way around, who's actually willing to partner with us, and then we'll figure out a way to give them a couple of use cases. I have a very different opinion in the sense that it needs to start with what we need to get done, right? We're in a sport which is very competitive, which you basically need to react very, very quickly. And not only that, but you need to transform quicker, you need to adopt emerging technologies quicker, and in some cases you need to develop quicker. So for me, it started with setting up our own strategy and then figuring out which partners can help us go there faster. So for me, obviously, our partners actually want real use cases, which is foundational for every partner that actually enters in Formula One.
The eagerness.
Exact. But for me, on the other side, is that I need to make sure that our strategy doesn't change. I need to make sure that I stay true to our own vision, which is basically winning races by 2028 and then champions a couple of years later. So finding the right partners to accelerate our strategy is critical for me. Obviously, if that actually happens, then use cases, stories, joint vision later on actually comes after. So for me, technology partners are the way you're accelerating your vision. And also it's a way that basically you can actually learn as well. Because obviously we know the sport.
Right.
I know technology. We know technology at Atlassian Williams Racing as well, but you can actually enhance and change that based on whatever you're getting from partners. But you need to stay true to your goal. We are not a place where you can just put stickers on the car. We are a place where technology comes together, both from your end, Prilio and others, but also from our end as well. So basically it's how do we come together to win a race in 2028 and be champions then for a decade?
Very interesting and as well very bold objective.
It is bold, and otherwise I wouldn't be in the sport, right? So 100%.
And we will be together with you to help you to achieve this bold.
I'll keep both yourself and Raj to that statement.
Deal. So if you could bring one IT technology or mindset into the corporate IT world, what would it be?
I think I've been asked these questions, funny enough, a couple of times, and
you do have a lot of experience in the corporate.
Yeah, I do have a lot of experience, but I entered the sport thinking that I used to work with the sport, but I entered the sport thinking that I have all my things figured out. What I've learned here is that basically in Formula One, right, you win or you lose as one team, right? And if you're looking at even at our first part of the season, we had some fantastic races, right? And also we had races where nothing worked. The whole idea is to stick together, but even more importantly is how quickly you learn, adapt, and you execute. So the advice that I would even give myself, my previous self that is actually working heavily in IT, is that leaders should build teams that are not afraid of failure. But on the contrary, you're pushing your leaders to make decisions and to fail fast. And then you can actually learn that failure, you can use it as fuel to iterate faster than your competition. The teams that are iterating faster are actually getting ahead faster. So I think this sport taught me that you shouldn't be afraid to fail. The more you're waiting to figure out if you want to take that step, you're actually seeing others that are actually overtaking you. So basically, build teams that are not afraid to fail, right? And then enable them to actually use that to go there faster. But then if I take a step back and if I'm only thinking about F1 tech, right, the one thing that I would actually take, let's say, forward into the IT world is how quickly you learn from data as previously in order to make faster decisions, right? And then is the level of the accountability that you're actually taking with you once you're actually making the decision. So basically, if I'm only thinking about F1 tech and not necessarily what I've learned as a principle, it is how to use the data and how quickly you're extracting from the data the insights that you then apply in a second. There are other verticals, other industries that are doing that, but I think F1 takes that one extreme.
And it is very interesting because once you have the insights, you can take the decisions, you are making the right decision. And once you make it, you continue to apply it
funnily enough, you said the right decision, but let's say that sometimes it can be the wrong decision. That takes me back to the thing that I've said before. So data, insights, decision, all that loop you need to close very, very fast. Once you're actually closing that very fast, it doesn't matter if you made the right decision or not. You're learning in both ways, right? In both cases. So I think it is critical. Yes.
Sometimes we have learned a lot of things from failures.
100%.
So moving forward, what is your message to our colleagues at Brilio?
All right. Okay. So we're at the beginning of a journey, right? And for us, in Formula One, you need to have journeys don't happen overnight, right? Miracles don't happen overnight. They take time. So we're at the beginning of the journey, and I think what I would tell everyone at Brilio is that you are helping us setting up the foundations, right? And obviously, everyone wants to push further, faster, right? But without a healthy foundations, we won't be able to actually get there. So you're helping us setting up the foundations, and then you are actually with us. You will be with us every step of the way. It's moving. It doesn't matter if you're taking cloud, data, AI, agentic AI, or whatever other else. It's a long journey, but it will take several years. And I want to make sure that they know that setting up the foundations and then walking us through the rest of until they should become whatever, winning races and becoming champions in 2030. It's important to have patience with us. We are not going to get it right every time. We are going to get it right most of the times. And for us, it is critical that every partner understands that we are in this as a team, one team. We start the journey, we lay the foundations, we develop further, and then we win together. So I think I want to make sure that they understand that for us, it's not necessarily Williams and then every other partner in its own little, let's say, area, but it is just one team that is pushing together through the journey to become champions later on.
I do feel that is the right approach, and having one team with the right expertise. Exactly as you mentioned, we are looking to bring the right goals up front and to understand what each partner brings you value. In that way, you will create the strategy that we are looking for.
Going back to the question that you asked me earlier, is how important, how critical are F1 are tech partners for us? Think about a puzzle, right? And I think in puzzles sometimes, and then we have one strategy. And basically, as you're actually driving towards a strategy, I'm completing the puzzle with various names, partners, technology sponsors, it doesn't matter what. But then basically, I'm doing that in order to make sure that I'm accelerating every part of our strategy. It doesn't matter if it is cloud, data, AI, enterprise system, tools, and so on and so forth. Once you have the puzzle complete, you're unstoppable. So I think everyone at Brilio should be proud that you guys are part of the puzzle and we're actually pushing together towards that common vision, which is to become F1 champions and stay there for a decade, right? And I think that sentiment of pride needs to stay not only with Brilio, but with other engineers that are working at Williams and other sponsors and so on and so forth. Because every 100th of a second that we gain, right, it's a product of basically designers, mechanics, engineers, Brilio engineers. Why not other sponsors, engineers, and so on and so forth coming together? We have one mission and one purpose. Once everyone is aligned and we understand the role in the puzzle, the mission, we become unstoppable. And this is what we should be doing, to be a technology-driven team that becomes unstoppable because we have the right puzzle, we have the right partners, and we become champions.
That brings us to the end of today's podcast. Thank you, Sorin, for bringing us under the hood of Atlassian Williams Racing. Thanks to all listeners. Keep pushing boundaries, keep reiterating, and remember, milliseconds matters.
Thank you, Dragos, for having me on the podcast. Thank you very much for you guys out there that have joined us just to find a bit more about how they actually operate around data at Atlassian Williams Racing. Keep pushing, and it's time to box then.
Thank you.